Hey, what's up everybody, Prime22 here, bringing you another episode of Transformers Lore. This episode, we're going to be taking a look at the various languages spoken by Cybertronians across the multiverse. What is the language that Cybertronians speak? Often, we just casually group all the different tongues they speak into one umbrella term, Cybertronian. However, the Cybertronian language actually refers to a number of languages, sometimes but not always originating on Cybertron. Another thing to keep in mind is that though many fictional universes have actually developed languages from their works that can actually be spoken, there is no established Cybertronian language you can go and learn right now, unfortunately. As a language nerd myself, Hasbro, please give us a Cybertronian language. First and foremost, Cybertronian languages across the multiverse do not appear to be the same language, as they have their own distinct sounds. Evidently, it's likely that the closer two universes are related to each other, the more likely the Cybertronians will speak the same language. But Cybertronian spoken in some Tyrant cluster universe by a native would not be understood by one from Primax 1005.19 Gamma. However, because of translation technology, they wouldn't have a problem understanding each other as we see Transformers from different universes interact with each other on numerous occasions. Let's take a look at some variety in the Primax cluster. In Primax 9.4.17 Alpha and related universes, the Transformers likely first spoke Quintesson, and later evolved into Cybertronian or Ancient Cybertronian. At some point, this language divided between Autobot and Decepticon, with at least Autobot known to have an ancient variety. These likely evolved into distinct Maximal and Predacon languages, and indeed, these languages have their own writing systems. But we'll get into the writing systems later. Maximal and Predacon languages can be grouped as Cybertronics. Primax 9.4.0 Gamma and related universes appear to have a unified Cybertronian language. In Primax 1005.19 Gamma, we see a lot of variety and development across the languages of Cybertron. The oldest form of the language that we know about is Old Cybertronian, or the Primal Vernacular, while the modern version is known as Neo-Cybex. Neo-Cybex, at least, is known to have diversity in the form of different accents and dialects, including the Tarnian accent, which carries a sort of prejudice against it as Megatron speaks the Tarnian accent, and the Tetrahexian accent, which, to non-Tetrahexians, sounds like screaming. On the subject of accents, the Union cluster also has some distinction of accents depending on which side of the Sea of Rust Cybertronians come from. Back to Primax 1005.19 Gamma, Chirolinguistics, or speaking hand, is another form of communication that involves the Cybertronians holding hands and shifting their hands to convey different meanings. Now, it should be noted that there is a connection between Neo-Cybex and a human language. When Micronus Prime of that universe created Interspace, whatever language he spoke, whether it be the Primal Vernacular or Neo-Cybex, evolved into the language of Microspace that carries a level of mutual intelligibility with Neo-Cybex. Though these plot points are still ongoing, there is an alleged connection between the people from Microspace and ancient Egypt, and the language of Microspace is said to sound very similar to ancient Egyptian to the ear of scientists, so there may be a connection. Another thing to point out about the language of Primax 1005.19 Gamma is that we have two words from Neo-Cybex and Primal Vernacular, and that comes from the character Di Atlas, whose name is meant to mean God Map, with Di meaning God and Atlas meaning map, in Neo-Cybex. In the Primal Vernacular, his name is Day Atlas, making Day the word for God and Atlas once again the word for map. These might be the only Cybertronian words we know so far. In the Malgus cluster, Old Malignus and Destron were two older languages, suggesting that whatever languages the Autobots and Decepticons spoke had some level of differences between the two. The Tyrant cluster also appears to have some level of variation between Autobots and Decepticons, though the writing system has stayed virtually the same between the two factions. Now, sometimes random writing systems have been used for Cybertronian, like we see in the RX cluster, and sometimes Arabesh from Star Wars is just ripped off. But there are actual writing systems you can learn. Cyberglyphics is often used in the Tyrant cluster and Malgus cluster, but is also used in the Primal Vernacular of Primax 1005.19 Gamma. Modern Autobot and modern Decepticon also have a writing system that's been fully developed and are used in most of the multiverse, particularly in the Primax cluster. Cybertronics is also fully created and is in a Predacon and Maximal variety. It should be noted that if you learn these writing systems, you might catch a secret message here and there on the screens of various Transformers media. It is here we discover that, at least from a writing and art perspective, this actually serves as a cipher rather than a language, as it can be transliterated letter by letter into English. Nevertheless, these can still be fun to learn, and hopefully Hasbro uses it when they create an actual Cybertronian language. Please? I'm begging you. But that's going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. For more fun bits of Transformers lore, subscribe if you like. Follow me on social media for updates on the channel, and don't forget that we have a Discord server. Also, we have a brand new subreddit, so feel free to check that out. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. What is the language that Cybertronians speak?